The state of Texas is truly at war with the Mexican cartel, and due to extreme circumstances, Texas has no choice but to get on the defensive side of things and protect their state at all costs. Now, Texas has implemented this floating buoy wall, and I really want to deep dive into how effective this thing is, but also what Texas is also doing to implement legal action on Mexican cartel members coming into Texas. Because look, they're deeming them as terrorists. I mean, they're taking it to the extreme. Texas is not messing around with the cartel, and implementing this buoy wall is just another action Texas is doing to try getting rid of illegal immigrants and also get rid of cartel members. Now stick with me in this video because we're going to actually go to the website and the company who designed this floating buoy barrier wall. But let's go ahead and look at the press conference when there was an announcement saying we are going to implement this barrier, and it is effective, it does work, and this is why we want to implement this floating barrier.
Buoys.
At a border security bill signing ceremony in Austin Thursday, Governor Greg Abbott unveiled a new tool being deployed to help secure the southern border: military-grade buoys.
It's something we can do quickly. We can put it there, and it deters large groups of people from moving in that area, and we can control it.
The state has purchased 1,000 feet of the buoys at a cost of approximately $1 million. The head of DPS...
You heard that right. 1,000 feet, $1 million. And also what's sad about this photo, I mean, I hate to see this, but it is something Texas has to do. This is actually a migrant right over here who's trying to cross the buoy. But again, we'll get into how effective these buoys are and this wall is and why Texas has implemented it, because these have been proven to work. And guess what? It actually gets way worse than this. And again, you'll see when we go to the website, the company who makes these things, you'll see how crazy these things can get.
Colonel Steve McCraw says they are about 4 feet high, equipped with weights and netting, and designed to rotate to help keep people from scaling them. On its website, the security company Cochrane describes them as marine floating barriers. The buoys displayed at the news conference did not appear to have spiked attachments. They'll be put in the river in Eagle Pass, which McCraw said is currently ground zero for illegal border crossing.
Because of the water and the buoyancy of these, it's very difficult to be able to go through these. Very difficult to come over it.
Okay, so the company who actually invented these floating buoys, they've been around for a while, and they're actually a well-known company when it comes to fencing and barrier operations. They will come over to like oil rigs, come over to seaports, and they will assess and let you know what you should do while implementing either a floating barrier or a fixed barrier. The company's name is Cotrain. I think that's how you say it. Okay, so as you scroll through the Cotrain website, this is how they describe their floating barrier system. The patented floating barrier is comprised of multiple interconnected buoys which can extend to any length and customize according to their application. While spiky buoys are highly effective at repelling waterborne craft, smooth buoys are the ideal countermeasure against human intrusion. Okay, so look, they even know what they're getting themselves into and how they are saying, look, we can deter humans to not even come towards here because you can't pass this buoy system. And that's why the state of Texas has invested $1 million in this buoy system. Okay, so here's Eagle Pass, and this area is notorious for being the ground zero of illegal migrant crossings. Now, I don't like to generalize and say illegal Mexicans or Mexicans are crossing into here. It's illegal migrants, and unfortunately, a lot of them get taken advantage of the Mexican cartel, and the Mexican cartel also passes through here because of how easy it is to access Texas and the United States. Especially when you scroll in through here, you can even see sandbars in the Rio Grande. And I mean, it's quite interesting, this complex network of agreements and treaties and how the trust is there between the Mexico and the United States to not cross into one another's lands. But nonetheless, again, you can literally see sandbars. And so, which means it's easy to cross, like ankle deep type situations. Nonetheless, this buoy though, this buoy wall has been put in a deeper section of the Rio Grande. Now, I need to mention this because I keep saying Texas is at war with the Mexican cartel. The reason why I say this is because Texas does actually designate and identify cartel members as terrorists. And to me, that is an escalation of violence, of war. But Texas had to do this to try deterring away Mexican cartel members. Check out this clip. This is back in 2022, just so you are aware.
He signed an executive order today designating Mexican drug cartels as terrorist organizations. The governor says the cartels are disguising fentanyl as counterfeit pills and are even targeting children with colored drugs called rainbow fentanyl pills. He says seizing the drugs is not enough to protect Texans and is directing the Department of Public Safety to do more.
Now, I was curious to see what this meant for cartel members or affiliates of cartel members, like how serious their jail time would be if they got caught. And I found a link. This is February 2023, so about a year later. Cartel-linked brothers sentenced to 70 years for meth trafficking. So again, because they have implemented these laws of designating cartel members as a terrorist organization and a terrorist group, you have some very significant fines and very significant jail time. I mean, 70 years, that's your whole life, people. Okay, so back to this buoy system, and I want to talk about how effective it is in implementing all defensive tactics. I mean, this is like Combat Engineer 101 and Engineering 101. So like we had heard, this is about 1,000 feet, but it can extend as far as you want. The biggest issue is it has to be in waters where it can float because there is a netting system under these buoys. And these buoys also rotate, so trying to climb over them is near impossible. One thing we are also forgetting is that the river itself is also a barrier with the flow and movement of water. And because of this, migrants who try to cross over, or cartel members who try to cross over and get through this buoy system, they will get pushed over to the shallower side of the river, and then you run into this situation. You run into razor wire. Now, one thing I want to talk about when it comes to razor wire is understanding that razor wire is actually really easy to defeat if not properly implemented. And the reason why I love to harp on this is because I was a combat engineer and I've worked with so much razor wire and C-wire. I still have scars and cuts on my body, and I've probably spent around $100 on gloves alone just trying to set up these stupid things. But nonetheless, you can even see a guy right here is just pushing right through this razor wire. And look, this stuff stinks, and it's specifically used for people. But one thing you'll notice is he's actually using a stick to get through it. And one thing you do learn in trying to breach C-wire or razor wire, C-wire is concertina wire, you can actually push down the wire with your rifle or push it to the side like this guy is doing with a stick. So it's really easy to get through this stuff. So one thing I noticed is when I was analyzing the photos and the pictures of how the buoy system is implemented as along with a defensive tactic with the razor wire, here's what engineers are doing and here's what they should be doing. Now, this right here is called a triple strand or triple concertina fence. We call that triple strand wire. Nonetheless, it's essentially tripling up your razor wire or concertina wire, and it makes it very difficult for any sort of human or anybody to pass through this. Even getting a tank through this is almost detrimental because it's going to get inside of your gears and mess up all of your tracks. Now, this right here is what's being used along with the buoy system on these shallow parts of the region of the border over on Eagle Pass and a lot of parts of Texas. Nonetheless, you have to understand this. One single strand of this is useless. Now, tripling it up, way more effective. But the actual key to making this extremely effective for the nerds out there who care about this is the barbed wire holding it all down right in the middle, because what you're doing is tying everything together at an anchor point, which is right here and right here. And these anchor points, again, is pulling everything down so you just can't move it away. You just can't walk over it. It makes it extremely difficult. Now, I'm not saying you can't pass through this stuff, but it definitely slows you way down, and it should give enough time to the soldiers who are on the border or the border patrollers on the border, state troopers, everyone, to catch whoever's trying to get through this stuff. Because again, you really have to double up and multiply your border defense systems with a river, with the buoy system, and with your concertina wire to hold everything together and really try to hope it's used as a deterrent, but also as an effective means to keep people out of your state. I mean, even during World War I, there was a realization where you can just walk over the wire and really just manipulate it any way you want. So tripling everything up and using concertina wire, that's a great way to try deterring and keeping migrants, illegal migrants, and cartel members out of your state. So look, we probably can expect a lot more of these buoy systems being used throughout the Rio Grande, The thing is, $1 million for 1,000 feet, that's very expensive, and for the taxpayer, they better see some results. Now, using triple strand and that concertina wire, that's a very cheap means compared to this, but obviously in this particular area, Eagle Pass, Texas, it's just notoriously known for the amount of migrants who try to cross into Texas. So it's been a really big issue. So I think people in that area are totally okay with the $1 million price tag in using this thing. And apparently, it's highly effective. And the thing is, I noticed they didn't use the spiked balls. And even though they say, the website says that the spiked balls are more for ships and boats and being used as a deterrent, I'm willing to bet Texas is like, we're not going to add the spiked ball feature because that's just a really bad look. And also migrants could just climb up it. It's like way easier. It's almost used as like a ladder in a way. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Texas has been under a lot of scrutiny for this border wall floating device, but nonetheless, Texas is put in a situation where they really are almost on their own. Also, you probably should be aware that Texas is being sued for this floating buoy device. I don't even know what they're calling it. I think they're just calling it a floating buoy or a buoy wall, which is funny. But yeah, Texas is being sued by a kayaking company for disrupting his business. Texas is also being sued by the U.S. government for disobeying orders or not really asking for orders. They just did this on their own. So, we'll see what happens with that. Nonetheless, I see this as a highly effective way to keep away the cartel, to keep away illegal migrants, and Texas has been loving this thing, and apparently it's been working. So nonetheless, they say it's working, so they're probably going to want to keep it. So, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Leave your opinions. I'm really curious to see what you guys all have to say. But yeah, Texas really has been at war with the cartel for a while now, but it looks like they're really willing to do whatever it takes, designate them as terrorists, put up these floating buoys to try and stop them. So again, leave your comments and opinions down below, and we'll see you guys later.